In the cold light of the twin moons, a young alien girl named Lyra sat by the window, her silver eyes reflecting the endless night. She had not slept for days. Tomorrow was the day she would be married. But it was not a wedding of love. It was a payment, a debt that her family could never repay. Her people believed in honor, and when her father's trade ship was destroyed in a human sector, her family owed the humans a fortune. They had nothing left. No ships, no land, only her. Lyra's heart ached as she looked at her reflection. The thin blue lines across her skin glowed softly, marks of her kind. To humans, it made her look strange, alien. To her, it was a curse she could not hide. Her mother entered quietly. "My child," she whispered, her voice trembling. "This marriage will save us. The humans promised peace if you go with them." Lyra didn't answer. She only nodded, her hands shaking as she held her mother's. The human envoy would arrive at sunrise, and she would be taken to meet her groom. The morning came too soon. The sound of engines filled the air as a silver ship descended over the small alien village. Children hid behind walls. Elders bowed their heads. Lyra stood still, her heart beating fast. Her family stood behind her, silent and afraid. The ship's door opened with a hiss, and a group of humans stepped out, tall, armored, their faces hidden behind clear helmets. One of them stepped forward. He was older, a commander by the look of his uniform. His voice was deep and calm. "Lyra of the Nareen," he said, "by agreement of your house and the human coalition, you are to come with us. Your family's debt will be forgiven." She bowed her head. Her voice broke as she whispered, "I will go." Her mother cried softly behind her. Her father said nothing. Lyra walked toward the ship, her feet heavy with every step. The humans didn't speak as they led her inside. The door closed, and the world she knew was gone. Hours passed in silence as the ship traveled through the void. Lyra sat by the window, watching stars rush by like falling lights. Her mind was full of fear. What kind of man would she meet? Would he treat her kindly? Or would she be just a symbol, a price paid? Her people had told stories of humans, strong, proud, dangerous, but also unpredictable. She touched her wrist, feeling the pulse beneath her skin. It beat faster every time she thought of him, her unseen groom. A soft voice broke the silence. "You must be frightened." Lyra turned. A young human woman stood near her, wearing a white uniform. Her smile was gentle. "I'm not supposed to speak to you," she whispered, "but I wanted to say, your groom isn't like the others." Lyra's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" The woman only smiled again. "You'll see soon. Don't be afraid." And then she walked away. Lyra's thoughts twisted with confusion. Her groom wasn't like the others? What did that mean? The ship shook slightly as it entered orbit around a human world, a vast planet covered in clouds and light. Her heart raced. The door opened, and a human officer motioned her to follow. They led her down a long corridor of glass and steel. Humans stared at her through the windows, curious, whispering. She kept her head low, her steps quiet. At the end of the corridor stood a large door. The officer stopped and turned to her. "Your groom is waiting," he said. Then he pressed a code on the panel and the door slid open. Inside, the air was warmer. There was soft light, the smell of flowers, strange human flowers. And at the center of the room stood a man, tall, dressed in dark clothes, his back turned to her. Lyra froze. Her hands trembled. The man turned slowly, and for the first time she saw his face. He wasn't like any human she had imagined. There were scars along his jaw and eyes that held both sadness and strength. But there was something else, something impossible. His eyes. They weren't human eyes. They glowed faintly blue, like hers. Lyra's breath caught in her throat. Her voice barely escaped her lips. "What are you?" The man smiled softly. "Someone who was never meant to be your enemy," he said. "Welcome home, Lyra." The story had only just begun. And if you're enjoying it so far, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for the next parts. Because what Lyra discovers next will change everything she ever believed. The room was silent. So silent that Lyra could hear her own heartbeat echo inside her chest. The man standing before her did not move. His blue eyes, glowing faintly like distant stars, were fixed on her face. For a moment, she could not speak. She could not even breathe. He was human, and yet not. He looked like them, tall, strong, broad-shouldered, but his eyes told another story. A story she didn't yet understand. I don't know what you are," Lyra whispered. Her voice trembled. Her feet wanted to move back, but something inside her told her not to. The man smiled gently. "My name is Commander Rylan," he said, his voice calm and deep. "I know this isn't easy for you. You were brought here without choice, but I need you to understand something." Lyra looked up slowly. Her hands were still shaking. "Understand what?" Rylan took a slow breath, his eyes softening. "This marriage isn't what they told you it is." Her heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" He walked toward her, slowly, carefully, as if afraid she might run. "The debt was real, yes. But this marriage was not forced by your people. It was arranged by mine." She blinked, confused. "Your people? But why?" Rylan turned away, staring out the window where the great human city stretched far below, towers of light, ships moving like stars. "Because," he said quietly, "you are not just another alien girl, Lyra. You are part of something much older. Something both our worlds have tried to erase." Lyra's mind swirled. She tried to speak, but no words came. She had spent her whole life believing her world and the humans were enemies, separated by war and history. Now this stranger was telling her there was something connecting them. She took a step closer, her voice barely a whisper. "What are you talking about?" Rylan turned back to her. His blue eyes shimmered like glass. "There was once a bond between our races," he said. "Before the war, before the debts, before the hatred." He paused. "And that bond was written in blood." Lyra frowned. "I don't understand." Rylan lifted his hand, and for a moment, the skin on his wrist flickered like light, and faint blue lines appeared, glowing just like hers. Lyra gasped. Her hands flew to her mouth. You have my markings." He nodded. "Half of me does. My mother was human. My father was Kareen." Lyra felt her knees weaken. A human and a Kareen? That was forbidden. Impossible. The last such union had been more than a century ago. She whispered, "That can't be true." But Rylan only looked at her sadly. "It is true. And now they want to hide what I am, so they made this marriage, to bind me to your house and keep the peace, to make it look like a treaty, not a secret." Lyra's heart pounded. Her fear began to mix with something else: confusion, anger, and curiosity. "So, I'm just a cover," she said bitterly. Ryland's expression hardened, but his voice remained calm. "No, you're not a cover, Lyra. You're the key." The words hung between them like a shadow. She stared at him. "What do you mean by that?" He looked away again, lowering his voice. "There's something happening between our worlds. Something dangerous. The Council is hiding it. They needed someone like you, someone pure Kareen bloodline, to complete their plan." Lyra's throat went dry. "What plan?" Ryland didn't answer immediately. He reached into a drawer and pulled out a small crystal sphere, glowing faintly blue. Inside it, she could see swirling lights, like captured lightning. "This," he said quietly, "is the real reason you're here." She stepped closer, staring into the crystal. "What is it?" "It's called the Heart of Nareen," Ryland said. "A living energy source that connects both our species. Long ago, when humans first met the Kareen, this was the bond that united them." Lyra reached out a trembling hand, but stopped just before touching it. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Then she looked up. "But why me?" Ryland's eyes darkened. "Because only a Kareen can awaken it, and if the Council gets it before you do..." He paused. "They will use it to destroy what's left of your people." Lyra stepped back, her breath quick and shallow. Her head was spinning. Her wedding, her debt, her family's pain. It was all part of something far bigger. She looked at him sharply. "Then why are you telling me this? You're one of them!" Ryland's jaw tightened. "I was," he said, "but not anymore. I swore to protect both sides, and that means protecting you." His words were calm, but there was fire in his eyes. She could feel it, the truth in his voice. Still, doubt crept in. "You could be lying." He smiled faintly. "If I were lying, would I risk everything to show you this?" Lyra stared at him. Something in her heart shifted, not trust yet, but curiosity. He turned toward the window again. Outside, the human city was alive with light, but far above it, in the black sky, a shadow moved. A dark shape, silent and fast. Lyra followed his gaze. "What is that?" she asked. Ryland's expression changed instantly. His voice dropped. "They found us." "Who?" He looked at her, eyes blazing with blue light. "The ones who never wanted peace." Alarms began to echo through the corridor. Red lights flashed. The floor trembled under their feet. Ryland grabbed her hand, warm, strong, and pulled her toward the door. "Come on," he said sharply. "You want to know the truth? Then you'll have to survive it first." Lyra stumbled after him, her heart pounding. The door burst open as soldiers ran past, shouting orders. Smoke and light filled the air. She looked back one last time, at the room, the flowers, the glowing crystal on the table, and then it shattered into 1,000 pieces. They ran through the corridor as explosions shook the walls. Lyra's lungs burned, her pulse racing. Behind them, the world she thought she knew was falling apart, and ahead of her was the man she had been forced to marry. the man who might be the only one who could save her or destroy everything she loved. The story was only beginning to unfold, and nothing, not even fate, would stop what was coming next. The alarms screamed across the metal corridors. Red lights flashed like fire in the dark. Lyra ran as fast as she could, her heart pounding, her breath sharp and uneven. Ryland pulled her forward, his grip firm but protective. "Keep your head down," he shouted over the noise. Behind them, the world was chaos. Soldiers shouting, doors locking, the ship shaking under enemy fire. Lyra's mind spun. She didn't know who was attacking or why. "What's happening?" she cried. Ryland glanced back, eyes blazing with blue light. "They've found the heart. They're here for you." "Me?" she gasped. "Why me?" "There's no time," he said. "Just move." They turned a corner, and the floor beneath them shuddered. A blast ripped through the wall, sending a wave of smoke and debris across the hallway. Lyra screamed as the shock threw her to the ground. Ryland was already moving, pulling her up, shielding her from falling glass. He took a deep breath, his voice steady. "We need to reach the hangar bay. There's a ship there. We can make it." Lyra nodded weakly. Her body ached, but she forced herself to run again. As they moved deeper into the ship, the sounds of battle grew louder. Gunfire echoed from every direction. Humans, soldiers of Ryland's own army, were fighting someone unseen. Lyra saw flashes of movement. Dark figures, fast and silent, their eyes glowing red. They weren't human. And they weren't Kareen. "What are those things?" she whispered. Ryland's jaw tightened. "They call themselves the Veilborn," he said. "Mercenaries, half machine, half living shadow." She stared at him in disbelief. "But why are they here?" "To stop the truth from coming out," he said grimly. "They serve the Council, and the Council fears what you might awaken." Lyra's mind swirled. Her family's debt, her forced marriage, now assassins hunting her. It was too much to understand. And yet, deep inside her chest, something was changing. Her blood felt alive, hot, buzzing, as if something ancient inside her was waking up. They reached the hangar doors, but a heavy blast door blocked the way. Ryland swore under his breath. "They've locked it." He ran to a nearby panel and began typing commands rapidly. Lyra stood behind him, watching the red warning lights blink. "Hurry," she whispered. "They're coming." Ryland didn't answer. Sweat ran down his temple as he worked. "I can override it," he said, "but you'll need to hold them off." Lyra froze. "Hold them off? How?" Ryland turned to her, his face serious. "Do you still have your Kareen markings?" She frowned. "Of course I do, but—" "They're not just markings," he said. "They're living energy veins. Focus on them. Feel the pulse." Lyra blinked. She had never tried to use them. Her people said they were just symbols of ancestry, not power. But now, as the sound of metal footsteps echoed down the hall, she had no choice. She closed her eyes and felt it. A soft hum inside her veins, a current running beneath her skin. Her heartbeat slowed, then quickened again, in rhythm with the light. When she opened her eyes, her markings glowed bright enough to light the corridor walls. The shadows drew closer, dark shapes with glowing red eyes. Lyra raised her hand without knowing why. The air trembled. A sharp blast of blue energy rippled from her palm, hitting the first creature and sending it crashing into the wall. Her own eyes widened. She had no idea how she did that. Ryland turned just in time to see it. For the first time, he smiled, proud and amazed. "You did it," he said. "You woke it." "I don't know how," she said, trembling. "It just happened." "Then keep going." The door behind him clicked, unlocking. He slammed the panel shut and turned toward her. "Let's go!" Lyra threw one last burst of light toward the attackers and then ran through the opening door. The hangar was huge, filled with ships, equipment, and flashing warning signs. But one ship stood ready, small, fast, painted in black and silver. Rylan led her to it. He jumped into the cockpit and started the engines. "Get in!" Lyra climbed aboard, her body shaking with exhaustion. The door sealed behind them just as more explosions rocked the hangar. Rylan's fingers flew over the controls. The ship lifted off, engines roaring. Lyra held onto the seat, looking back through the glass. The great vessel they had escaped from was burning, pieces breaking away into the void. And then, silence. They were in space. Free. At least, for now. Lyra turned to him, her voice low. "Where are we going?" Rylan didn't answer at first. His eyes were fixed on the stars ahead. "Somewhere safe," he said, "a place the Council has forgotten." "And what happens then?" He looked at her, his blue eyes calm but shadowed. "Then, Lyra, we find out why you were chosen." She frowned. "Chosen? For what?" He hesitated. The Heart of Nareen wasn't just a relic. It's a living being, a consciousness. It chooses who can awaken it. Lyra's voyage. She trembled. "And it chose me?" "Yes." He leaned back in his seat. "But that means something darker, too. The heart can bring peace, or it can bring extinction." Lyra's stomach turned cold. "Extinction?" He nodded. "Whichever bloodline awakens it, Kareen or human, gains control of both species' fate." She stared at him in shock. "You mean, if I awaken it wrong?" He finished her sentence quietly. "It could destroy everything." The words fell like a blade between them. For a long moment, there was only silence. The hum of the ship, the stars gliding past. Then Rylan spoke again. "Lyra, you have to trust me. Whatever happens next, we face it together." Lyra looked at him, her heart uncertain. She wanted to believe him. But trust was not so easy, especially when her world had already lied to her once. She turned to look out the window. Far behind them, the burning ship drifted into darkness. But as she stared, something strange happened. The blue lines on her arms began to flicker, like they were reacting to something unseen. She whispered, "Rylan, something's wrong." He looked over, and his expression changed. The stars outside the ship were shifting. Not normally, not like travel, but twisting, bending around them. A pulse of energy rippled through the cabin. The instruments flickered. Rylan gripped the controls. "No, no, this isn't possible. We're being pulled." "By what?" Lyra cried. Before he could answer, the ship lurched violently. The lights went out. The stars disappeared. And in their place, a vast black shape filled the window. A ship, enormous, silent, floating in the dark. Older than anything she had ever seen. Lyra's voice shook. "What is that?" Rylan whispered the answer like a curse. "That is the original Nareen Ark. The same place, legend said, where the heart was born. And as the dark ship opened its gates to them, Lyra felt it. Deep inside her blood, something calling her name. Something ancient, something alive. And she knew their story had only just begun. The ship, Doctor, ifted toward the dark shape that filled the stars, the Nareen Ark. A forgotten relic of two civilizations, and the birthplace of the heart itself. Lyra sat frozen, staring out the window. The giant vessel looked dead. No lights, no motion, yet she could feel it calling to her. Each pulse of her glowing veins answered the call, faint but steady, as if the Ark remembered her. Ryland's hands gripped the controls tightly. "I can't explain it," he murmured. "Something's pulling us in. The thrusters won't respond." Lyra whispered, "It wants us here." He glanced at her, uneasy. "Ships don't want things, Lyra." She looked back at the massive doorway opening ahead of them, a slow, silent mouth in the darkness. "Maybe this one does." The small ship slipped inside. Everything went black. A moment later, soft blue lights flickered to life across the walls. Old symbols glowed, the ancient writing of her people mixed with human numerals. Ryland's eyes widened. Half Kareen, half human, just like us. Lyra felt a strange warmth spread through her chest. "This place, it's alive." The engines cut off by themselves. Silence. They unbuckled and stepped out carefully. The floor beneath their feet was made of crystal metal that shimmered faintly with every step. Each sound echoed down endless corridors. Lyra's voice trembled. "It feels like it's watching us." Ryland nodded slowly. "Then let's hope it likes what it sees." They moved forward, their footsteps echoing. The air was thin but breathable. Strange floating motes of light drifted around them, like glowing dust remembering how to shine. Lyra touched one. It burst softly into a swirl of color. She gasped. It showed a memory. Two figures, one human, one Kareen, standing together beside a glowing sphere. Then the image faded. "What was that?" Ryland asked. "Echoes," Lyra whispered. "The Ark remembers everything." As they walked deeper, more echoes shimmered around them, fragments of history trapped in light. Smiles, arguments, soldiers saluting, children laughing. Then explosions, smoke, and silence. Ryland's jaw tightened. It ended here. The war began here. Lyra stopped walking. Her markings flared brighter. Somewhere far ahead, something answered. A deep hum that made the floor vibrate. She looked at him. "It knows I'm here." They reached a large chamber. At its center floated a sphere of pure blue light, faint but pulsing, as if asleep. The Heart of Nareen. Lyra took a step forward, unable to look away. Ryland caught her arm. "Wait, we don't know what it will do." "It called me," she said softly. "It won't hurt me." "Lyra," but she was already walking. Each step made the light grow stronger, brighter, warmer. The hum became a song, low and ancient. Her markings blazed across her arms, chest, and face. When she reached the sphere, she raised her hand slowly and touched it. The world exploded into light. She was standing somewhere else. A vision. No air, no ground, only endless blue. Voices whispered all around her. Not words, memories. She saw her people, the Kareen, joining hands with humans, building cities together under twin suns. She saw laughter, progress, hope. Then she saw fear, weapons, betrayal. The heart being sealed away as the alliance fell apart. Then she saw Rylan. Not the man beside her now, but a younger version, crying in darkness while soldiers dragged someone away. A woman with glowing blue eyes, like Lyra's. His mother. Lyra's breath caught. The heart whispered again, soft but clear. The bond was never broken, only forgotten. Her eyes snapped open. She was back in the chamber. Rylan knelt beside her, shaking her shoulder. "Lyra, are you all right?" She blinked, dazed. "I saw everything. I saw you." Rylan froze. "What do you mean?" "The heart showed me your mother. She was Kareen. She tried to protect the Ark." His face kenned. "I was told she was a traitor." "She wasn't," Lyra said firmly. "She was guarding this place, hiding it from those who wanted power." Rylan looked away. For the first time, his voice broke. "They killed her for that." Silence. The glow around them faded to a steady pulse, calm but watchful. Lyra reached out and touched his hand. "I think she left this for us to finish." He looked up, and in his eyes there was pain and something else. Resolve. A low rumble cut through the quiet. The chamber lights flickered red. Lyra frowned. "What's happening?" Rylan turned toward the corridor they had come from. The Ark's defenses just woke up. Before she could speak, the doorway behind them split open, and figures stepped out. Metal, flesh, shadows, the Veilborn. Lyra backed away. "How did they find us?" Rylan's voice hardened. "They didn't need to. They've been inside all along." One of the Veilborn stepped forward. Half its face was machine, the other half burned and scarred. A human face Lyra recognized from the ship, the commander who had taken her from her home. "Commander Vale," Rylan growled. "You were supposed to be dead." Vale smiled, a cold, broken smile. "Death is a word, Rylan. I have evolved beyond it. And now, the heart will belong to those strong enough to command it." Lyra felt the air thicken. The heart pulsed violently, as if afraid. Rylan drew his weapon. "Stay behind me." Lyra shook her head. "No, it called me. It's part of me." Blue light crackled across her hands. The ground trembled. Energy surged through the chamber. Bright, alive, unstoppable. Vale laughed. "You think you can control it, girl? It will consume you." Lyra's voice was steady now. "Then let it try." Light exploded. The chamber filled with blinding energy as Lyra lifted her hands toward the heart. Rylan shouted her name, but his voice vanished in the roar. Tegbor disarmed. Veilborn charged forward, then froze mid-step, their armor glowing, melting, disintegrating. The heart blazed brighter than a star, and, for a moment, Lyra saw everything. The history, the sorrow, the lies, and something even darker hidden beyond it all. A shape waiting behind the light, ancient and awake. The vision faded. Silence returned. Rylan rushed to her side, catching her before she fell. Her eyes fluttered open, glowing faintly. "It's not over," she whispered. "Something else is coming." He looked toward the heart. Its light was dim now, but within it, a shadow moved, slowly taking form. Rylan tightened his grip on her hand. "Then we face it together." Outside, the Ark began to stir. Engines that had slept for centuries came alive again. The stars shifted around them as if space itself was bending. And somewhere deep within the ship, a new voice whispered through the corridors, soft, endless, and not quite human. Welcome back. The story had reached its turning point, and the real danger was only beginning to wake. The Ark shuddered. Metal groaned like a creature waking from a 1,000-year sleep. Lyra and Rylan stood in the center of the glowing chamber, the faint light of the heart fading behind them. Smoke curled through the air. Sparks drifted down like falling stars. Rylan's voice was a whisper. "What did you wake, Lyra?" She shook her head slowly. "I didn't call it. It called me." A deep hum rolled through the walls. The ground trembled again, not from machinery, but from something alive. The Ark was moving. Lights ignited along endless corridors, one by one, like veins filling with blood. Doors unlocked themselves. Holograms flickered, brief shapes of people long dead. Their faces glowed, but their eyes were hollow. Lyra stepped closer to one of the holograms. A woman appeared. Careen markings, human armor. Her voice echoed, distorted, but clear. "Protocol resurgence authorized. Subject Delta awakened." Rylan's face turned pale. "No, Delta wasn't a person. It was a weapon." Lyra frowned. "A weapon? Born from both races?" He nodded slowly. "Created to end the war in one strike. The first hybrid. Pure mind, no mercy. It nearly destroyed both sides." The hologram spoke again. "Containment failed. Subject Delta merged with the Ark core." Then the lights went out. Darkness swallowed them. Only Lyra's blue markings gave faint light. She reached for Rylan's hand. "Tell me you can stop it." Rylan hesitated. "I don't even know if it can be stopped." A low, whispering sound rose from the floor. 1,000 voices speaking at once, soft, cold, endless. They weren't words. They were memories, pain, fear, all at once. Lyra covered her ears, but it was inside her head now. It felt like someone was trying to pull her mind apart. Rylan grabbed her shoulders. "Lyra, look at me!" She forced her eyes open. "I can hear them, all of them." "What are they saying?" "They're afraid." The sound stopped. Complete silence. Then, a single voice, low, calm, too human to be machine, spoke from the shadows. "Afraid of me?" They turned. A shape was forming near the heart, tall, thin, wrapped in shifting light. It stepped forward, every movement smooth, graceful, wrong. Its face was almost human, but its eyes glowed like twin stars. "Who are you?" Rylan demanded. The figure smiled faintly. "I am what you built, what you feared, what you left behind." Its voice was gentle, almost kind. "I am Delta." Lyra stepped forward before she could think. The light of her markings brightened. "You were part of the heart." Delta tilted its head. "I was the heart, before your people sealed me away, before they called me dangerous." Rylan lifted his weapon, but Delta didn't move. "I could destroy you, human child, but that is not why I woke." "Then why?" Lyra asked. "Because you called to me," it said softly. "You carry what both races lost, the will to feel." The ship trembled again. Outside the window, the stars twisted. The Ark was no longer drifting. It was moving fast, bending space around itself. Ryland shouted over the noise. "Where are you taking us?" Delta's eyes flashed. "To the beginning. To where peace first broke." Lyra's heart raced. "The war worlds?" "Yes. The ruins of Vesen Prime." Ryland cursed under his breath. "That place is dead. It's radioactive ash." Delta's tone didn't change. "Not dead, buried. The truth sleeps there." Lyra looked at Ryland. "We have to go. If the heart wants to show me something, maybe it's the key to ending this." Ryland's expression hardened. "Or the key to ending everything. You don't know what this thing really is." Delta smiled faintly again. "You fear what you cannot control, but she does not." A door opened behind them, a bridge that led deeper into the ark's core. Delta began to walk toward it, light flowing around its form. "Come, Lyra," it said softly. "Your blood remembers the path." Ryland stepped in front of her. "You're not going anywhere with that thing." Lyra looked between them. Ryland's fear, Delta's calm. Both seemed right and wrong. "I need to know," she whispered. Before Ryland could stop her, she followed the glowing figure into the dark corridor. He swore quietly and went after her. The deeper they went, the stranger it became. Walls pulsed like living skin. The air shimmered with ghost light. Echoes of voices filled the space, whispers of names, promises, regrets. Lyra touched one of the walls. It rippled beneath her fingers like warm water. Images flashed, cities burning, people running, the heart splitting into two halves. One half light, one half shadow. She turned to Delta. "You were the shadow? And you," it said, "are the light that can join us again." Ryland's voice echoed behind them. "You want to merge with her. You'll erase her mind." Delta's eyes glowed brighter. "She won't die. She will become more." Lyra's pulse thundered in her ears. The corridor ahead opened into a vast chamber, a throne of glass, a sea of light, and a void stretching below. At its center floated another sphere, darker than the first, cold and silent. Delta stopped. "The other half of the heart," it whispered. "My heart." Lyra could feel it calling to her. A strange pull, terrifying and beautiful. Her skin burned with energy. Ryland reached her first. "Lyra, listen to me. If you touch that thing, you might never come back." She looked at him. His eyes were full of fear and something deeper, care. "I can't stop it," she said softly. "It knows me." Delta stood behind her, its voice soft as breath. "Together, we can restore what was lost." Lyra raised her hand. The light from her veins spilled into the air like threads of fire. The sphere began to spin. Winds howled through the chamber. Ryland shouted her name, but she couldn't hear him anymore. Her fingers brushed the surface of the dark heart. The world split in two, one half light, one half shadow, and she fell into both. Somewhere in the blinding storm of memory and energy, she heard two voices calling her name. One was Ryland's, the other was older, deeper, endless. "Choose," the voices whispered together. "Be one or be gone." Lyra screamed as light poured from her body, twisting with darkness, until the two became one single flame. The ark roared to life. Every corridor, every wall, every dead machine came alive again. Outside, the stars shifted once more, the ark vanishing into a corridor of light, leaving nothing but silence behind. And far away, on a distant world, a signal pulsed through forgotten systems. A message, ancient and clear. The heart has awakened. The real battle had not even started yet. The universe was nothing but light and sound and pain. Lyra floated in a storm of blue fire. She could not feel her body. She could not tell where she ended, and the heart began. Voices whispered all around her, millions of them, human and Kareen, mixed like wind and thunder. Some cried for peace, some for revenge, and some only for silence. Then one voice cut through them all. Lyra, listen to me. Rylan. She tried to turn toward him, but there was no direction, no air, only light. The heart pulsed inside her chest faster, hotter. It spoke in her mind, calm, endless, terrible. You are balance. Light and shadow. Decide what must survive. Lyra's heart trembled. I don't want to destroy anything. Then all will destroy itself. The storm swallowed her again. Far away, on the edge of the ark, Rylan fought to keep his footing as the floor cracked beneath him. The ship was tearing itself apart. Streams of energy burst from the walls like lightning veins. He shouted into the comms, Lyra, answer me! Only static. He slammed his hand against the console. She's still inside the core, he muttered. I have to reach her before the fleets arrive. Outside the windows, 2 armadas had appeared. The human coalition on one side, the Kareen Dominion on the other. Both ships circled the ark like vultures around a dying star. Orders shouted over the channels. Target the ark's engines! Fire if it resists! Retrieve the heart at all costs! Rylan's jaw tightened. Of course they came for the power, not for her. He pulled a weapon from the wall, not to fight, but to carve a path through the collapsing corridors. Smoke filled the air. Every step shook beneath his boots. Inside the core, Lyra was changing. Her body flickered between light and flesh, her markings spreading like fire across her skin. She could see both worlds now. The humans, proud and cold. The Kareen, noble and broken. She saw every war, every betrayal, every promise forgotten. Her voice echoed into the storm. Why are you showing me this? The heart answered, because you asked for truth. And then she saw something that froze her soul, a vision of herself standing on a ruined world, her hands raised, both fleets destroyed in the sky above. Her own light had become a weapon. No, she screamed, that's not me. It is one path. Then I'll make another. Every path has a cost. The light began to pull her deeper. She could feel her memories fading, her mother's face, her village, even Rylan's voice slipping away. Please, she whispered, don't take him from me. Then remember him. The storm flickered. She saw him, Rylan, running through fire, shouting her name. For a moment, the chaos slowed. He reached the core doors. A wall of pure energy blocked the way, humming like a heartbeat. Beyond it, he could see her silhouette floating inside the light. Lyra! Her eyes opened, bright blue, inhuman, endless. He raised his hand toward the barrier. It's me! You have to come back! Her voice came from everywhere at once. I can't. It's too strong. You're stronger, he said. You always were. The light flared violently, knocking him backward. He hit the wall hard, pain slicing through his side, but he pushed himself up again, limping, bleeding, refusing to stop. He placed both hands on the barrier. Lyra, listen. You said the heart called you. Maybe it chose you because you can refuse it, because you can say no. Inside the light, Lyra's heart began to race. She felt his voice cutting through the noise, steady, alive, real. The whispers around her screamed in protest. He will break you. He will end what we are. Lyra shut her eyes and whispered, I'm done being broken. A surge of light burst outward. The barrier cracked like glass. Rylan stumbled forward as the energy collapsed, catching her in his arms. Her body was cold, trembling, glowing faintly. Lyra, stay with me, he whispered. Her eyes flickered open. You came. I told you, he said softly. We face this together. But the arc was not done. The heart inside the chamber pulsed faster, angry, unstable. Every console screamed warnings in both languages. Core meltdown in 1 minute. Rylan pulled her close. We have to get out now. Lyra shook her head weakly. If I leave, it'll explode. Millions will die. There has to be another way. She looked up at him, a sad smile on her lips. There is, but you won't like it. Don't you dare. She touched his cheek. I can merge with it again, but this time I'll control it. I'll send the energy into the void. That will kill you. It might, she said quietly. But if I don't, everything dies. He gripped her hand tightly. I won't let you go. She smiled softly. You already did, when you taught me how to fight back. Before he could stop her, she stepped away and raised her arms toward the core. Light erupted around her again, brighter, sharper, filled with both pain and peace. Rylan fell to his knees, shielding his eyes. The room shook so violently, it felt like the ark itself was screaming. Lyra's voice echoed through the chaos. Remember us, not as enemies, but as one. A blinding flash engulfed everything. The fleets outside saw it too. A single pulse of light spreading across the stars, silencing every weapon, freezing every ship. And then the ark vanished. No explosion, no debris, only silence. Rylan opened his eyes slowly. He was lying in a field of silver dust beneath a quiet sky. No fire, no war, just wind. He sat up, gasping. Lyra! No answer. Only a faint shimmer in the air, like the ghost of blue light dancing softly before fading away. He bowed his head. A single tear traced down his cheek. Then, faintly, from the wind itself, her voice whispered, I'm not gone, Rylan. I'm part of everything now. He looked up, the stars reflecting in his eyes, and somewhere among them, one star glowed brighter than all the rest. The war was over. But peace was only beginning to learn how to breathe again. Yet far in the void, unseen by any eye, a single spark of dark light pulsed, slow, patient, alive. The heart was not finished. It never truly slept. The silence of space had never been so loud. Months passed after the light that erased the war. The fleets never found the ark again, only dust and echoes. Across both worlds, humans and Kareen tried to understand what had happened that day. No one could explain the pulse that stopped every weapon, the glow that healed poisoned skies. But Rylan remembered. He remembered the sound of her voice fading into the wind. He spent every day searching. Old satellites, broken transmitters, dead relays. He hunted them all. Some called him a hero, others called him mad. He didn't care. He only listened. For her. One night, while orbiting the scarred moon of Vesan Prime, his ship caught a faint signal, a whisper through static. 3 words only. Remember the light. Rylan froze. He replayed the message again and again, his heart racing. The voice was faint, layered with energy distortion, but he knew it. Lyra. He turned every scanner to full power. The signal came from the ruins on the planet's surface, once a battlefield, now covered in glass and ash. He set the coordinates and descended. The surface was dead, no wind, no life, just black sand and the bones of old machines. Rylan stepped out of the ship, suit sealed, weapon ready. Every footstep echoed like thunder in the silence. The signal grew stronger as he walked toward a canyon of crystal rock. Each shard glowed faintly blue, pulsing with a rhythm that matched his heartbeat. He whispered, "Lyra, if you can hear me, give me a sign." The ground trembled softly. A ripple of light spread across the canyon walls, forming shapes, ancient Kareen runes mixed with human letters. Together, they spelled one word, home. Rylan's breath caught. He followed the light deeper into the canyon until he reached a vast opening, an underground chamber perfectly round, filled with floating shards of the Ark's remain. At its center hovered a single crystal sphere, small but alive, glowing faintly like a heartbeat. He stepped closer. "Lyra?" The sphere pulsed once. A whisper filled the air.
"If I leave, it'll explode. Millions will die. There has to be another way."
She looked up at him, a sad smile on her lips.
"There is, but you won't like it. Don't you dare."
She touched his cheek.
"I can merge with it again, but this time, I'll control it. I'll send the energy into the void." "That will kill you." "It might," she said quietly. "But if I don't, everything dies." He gripped her hand tightly. "I won't let you go." She smiled softly. "You already did, when you taught me how to fight back."
Before he could stop her, she stepped away and raised her arms toward the core. Light erupted around her again, brighter, sharper, filled with both pain and peace. Rylan fell to his knees, shielding his eyes. The room shook so violently, it felt like the Ark itself was screaming. Lyra's voice echoed through the chaos. "Remember us, not as enemies, but as one." A blinding flash engulfed everything. The fleets outside saw it too. A single pulse of light spreading across the stars, silencing every weapon, freezing every ship. And then, the Ark vanished. No explosion, no debris, only silence. Rylan opened his eyes slowly. He was lying in a field of silver dust beneath a quiet sky. No fire, no war, just wind. He sat up, gasping. "Lyra!" No answer. Only a faint shimmer in the air, like the ghost of blue light dancing softly before fading away. He bowed his head. A single tear traced down his cheek. Then, faintly, from the wind itself, her voice whispered, "I'm not gone, Rylan. I'm part of everything now." He looked up, the stars reflecting in his eyes, and somewhere among them, one star glowed brighter than all the rest. The war was over. But peace was only beginning to learn how to breathe again. Yet far in the void, Unseen by any eye, a single spark of dark light pulsed. Slow, patient, alive. The heart was not finished. It never truly slept. The silence of space had never been so loud. Months passed after the light that erased the war. The fleets never found the Ark again. Only dust and echoes. Across both worlds, humans and Kareen tried to understand what had happened that day. No one could explain the pulse that stopped every weapon, the glow that healed poisoned skies. But Rylan remembered. He remembered the sound of her voice fading into the wind. He spent every day searching. Old satellites, broken transmitters, dead relays. He hunted them all. Some called him a hero, others called him mad. He didn't care. He only listened. For her. One night, while orbiting the scarred moon of Vesan Prime, his ship caught a faint signal, a whisper through static. 3 words only. Remember the light. Rylan froze. He replayed the message again and again, his heart racing. The voice was faint, layered with energy distortion, but he knew it. Lyra. He turned every scanner to full power. The signal came from the ruins on the planet's surface, once a battlefield, now covered in glass and ash. He set the coordinates and descended. The surface was dead, no wind, no life, just black sand and the bones of old machines. Rylan stepped out of the ship, suit sealed, weapon ready. Every footstep echoed like thunder in the silence. The signal grew stronger as he walked toward a canyon of crystal rock. Each shard glowed faintly blue, pulsing with a rhythm that matched his heartbeat. He whispered, "Lyra, if you can hear me, give me a sign." The ground trembled softly. A ripple of light spread across the canyon walls, forming shapes, ancient Kareen runes mixed with human letters. Together, they spelled one word, home. Rylan's breath caught. He followed the light deeper into the canyon until he reached a vast opening, an underground chamber perfectly round, filled with floating shards of the Ark's remain. At its center hovered a single crystal sphere, small but alive, glowing faintly like a heartbeat. He stepped closer. "Lyra?" The sphere pulsed once. A whisper filled the air.